Hello and welcome to our next NAP. NAP stands for Nonprofit Auditor Points, and I'm Irina Urshkova, your nonprofit auditor. And today I want to talk about grant letters, why it is very important to keep every grant letter. Sometimes as an auditor, we do hear from clients, we do not have a grant letter for this donation from the foundation or corporation or other large donations. And very often that's not correct. And the reason is a lot of entities that provide support to nonprofits, foundations, corporations, partnerships, they have to have a grant letter, they have to have support for their own reporting requirements. In order for them to treat it as a donation to your nonprofit, they have to have a proper documentation. Unless it's simple, small donation from an individual, the grant letter has to be present. Agreement, contract, grant letter. When I do talk to clients overall, I ask them sometimes, do you just happen to receive money without any prior communication from the foundation, corporation? Just money appear in your bank statement. And typically nonprofits will smile and say, no, we wish, but it never happens. So to conclude, every donation that organization received typically comes with a previous communication from a donor. And the large donors, such as again, foundations, corporation, other entities, nonprofit organizations, they have grant application process and they issue grant letter. With the current state where we're right now, a lot of applications and approval happens online and on some sort of platform. And it's responsibility of the nonprofit to retain that grant letter. Why it is so important? Grant letter has a lot of necessary information that not only required for accountants and auditors, but also for organization overall. There are some compliance issues, there is requirements how to spend money, and other things that organization absolutely need to be aware. And it's not only the person who applied for the grant needs to know. There could be some provisions that management and operation directors and just overall nonprofits needs to be aware. We as auditors cannot audit the grant or revenue just based on the dollar amount that organization received in a bank statement. It's absolutely not sufficient. Why? Because for nonprofit organizations, unconditional promise can be only outlined in a wish by a donor. We as auditors, first of all, need to know, is it truly unconditional promise or it's conditional promise? And that can only come from the letter. If we will see in the letter there is a condition, barrier to receive funds and right to return, then we will not record revenue even if nonprofit received the funds in advance of meeting that condition. That would be actually advances, liability. But also, let's just say nonprofit received partial payments, but unconditional promise in a letter much bigger, then it means that whatever money were received, it's not full amount of revenue. Again, we need to see a grant letter. Then grant letter will tell you if there's any restrictions that come with this donation. We need to see if there is a time restrictions, if this is a purpose restriction. The dollar amount that you see on a bank statement does not say anything about restriction. How we as auditors or you as an organization know how to spend funds if you don't have that grant letter? At some point, donor communicated to you why this money were donated. If it's not in the form of grant letter, then it might be via email. If it's a smaller donor, he or she or they could have sent you email saying, you know what, we would like to support your special event and we're giving you $5,000 for this special event. And it is very important support for us as an auditor and for you as an organization to have, because you know you need to record it as specifically restricted for special event. Therefore, if your auditor doing revenue testing and asking you for the support of the revenue, you should not just provide bank statement and say, see, we received the money. As an auditor, we would not know if it's earned revenue or it's donated. If it's donated, we don't know if it's a full amount, not full amount, if it's truly revenue or prepayment, like advances, after condition will be met. And then even if it's revenue, we don't know if it's restricted or not restricted. All of that information for us as an auditor can only come from direct communication from the donor, which comes in either email or it comes from the agreement or letters or contract or grant letter. Sometimes we do hear from the bookkeeper saying, this is just our normal supporter who supports us and they gave us this big check with no grant letter. Again, at some point, somebody communicated with this donor. If all communication happened only on the phone and there is absolutely nothing in writing, that we will encourage to protect your nonprofit and also protect the donor and protect your organization. Have a memo writing your discussion with the donor and that the donor unconditionally pledged you that amount, and would be ideally to confirm that via email. So the donor can say, absolutely, thank you so much. We can see that actually true intent of the donor. Again, it is very critical for nonprofit to have a support where the wishes and donor intent is actually outlined in writing. It's not just for audit purposes, not only for audit purposes. Again, this is for protection of your nonprofit to have documented that it was unconditional promise, and the donor will say, yes, absolutely, it is unconditional promise. And one good suggestion to the accountants: if you are accountant for your nonprofit, make sure that you communicate to your fundraising team, to management, executive director, that every donation have to come with the note, either grant letter, agreement, contract, something that will help you as accountant properly classify revenue in your accounting system. Is it earned revenue or it's donation? It's a full amount or it's a multi-year grant and you need to record it based on a grant letter, not on a dollar amount that arrived. And if maybe it's a prepayment, then it will go an absolutely different place. Just to inform your non-accounting team, the dollar amount that appear in your bank statement does not represent revenue. It might be partial revenue, might be not revenue, and you as accountant cannot record the transaction without additional support. Hopefully that will be helpful, and good luck recording GAAP. I will see you next time. Thank you and be safe.